everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Ashley. Thank you for joining me here today. That's a different way to start this. I'm gonna go with it. Today we are going to talk about the 7 books that I read in the month of January 2019 because it's already almost the end of February and I don't know where this year's going. However, I know a lot of my time is going towards books, which is awesome because I read 7 books in January and so far I have read, I think 7 or 8 in February and I am here for it. I am loving this reading year so far. Hopefully I don't hit like a March slump and ruin the rest of the year. Let's not think like that. Let's talk about the books that we read, that I read. You can tell me what you read too down below. That'd be great. Okay, let's just jump into the books, shall we? So the first book that I read this year was Fairest by I almost said Lavana. The first book I read this year was Fairest by Marissa Meyer. This is a novella that goes along with the main series. It is Lavana's story. So if you are familiar with the Lunar Chronicles, or if you're not, I'm going to tell you right now, Lavana is the evil queen in the story of the Lunar Chronicles. And this book is basically her background. It is how she became to be the evil queen that we know and hate. And it was really good. I listened to most of it on audiobook actually while I was on the treadmill. And it just gives such a different perspective on how things could have played out if, you know, she wasn't the person she was. So I really enjoyed it. The one thing I didn't enjoy is you see this book, you see the size of it, you see my little marker here? Yeah, that's because this part's the actual book. This part is a sneak peek of winter. Like 40 pages of this book is not actually this book, which was disappointing. However, we get really good information in this. Not only do we get to see Lavana's personality more because it's told from her perspective, we also... That might be a spoiler. Let's take it back. We also get to see some other key characters from the Lunar Chronicles when they were much, much younger and before they were who they became, because this is told like 15 years before Cinder starts, and I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I love this series so much, as you will see by another book in this month and by some in February's wrap up. But I really love this. If you like the Lunar Chronicles, definitely check this out. It gives you more information on why things are the way they are. Even to like how the laws are so corrupt and everything like that, you get a really good picture of how Luna became so messed up. The second book I read this month was Dumplin' by Julie Murphy. I read this in ebook format and devoured it. I read it in like a day or two. It was so fun. Dumplin' is the story of a girl whose nickname is Dumplin', who is overweight and decides to join the town beauty pageant that her mother runs, and she's not really sure if she's doing it because she wants to or if it's to kind of like overthrow the system, but she invites some of her friends. So you got this little band of misfits joining the beauty pageant who are so different than everybody else in the pageant, and it makes a statement on the town, and it's just kind of her going through life and trying to figure out where she fits in, and I had so much fun reading it. So I'm now on the second book, Put In. Also, I read it so that I could watch the Netflix movie with Jennifer Aniston, and I still haven't done that. Maybe that's what I need to do with my day off tomorrow, is watch Dumplin'. Yeah, I think that is. I really enjoyed it. It was just a fun, gave me like those summertime reading vibes, which was wonderful. Book number 3 that I read for January was A Baby for the Minister by Laurel Blunt. This is a love-inspired, it's basically like a Harlequin novel, but for Christians. I don't know how I felt about this one. I enjoyed it. Usually I pick these up when I just need like a good dose of romance that I can read in like a night, but this one, I found this to be more unrealistic than a lot of them. So this minister of a small town gets called upon to do a wedding for another minister who can't make it last minute. So he goes and he expects to do this wedding. Instead, he finds a very, very pregnant woman who is then left at the altar. And so he decides to help her out, and then they fall in love, and you know, there's a baby and things, and the town's all angry and whatever. And it just didn't feel real. It gave me those good romance vibes for a little bit, but as far as reality goes, not much. Not much in all kinds of ways. Yeah, so it got like 2 or 3 stars from me. I didn't give you ratings on the other books, but you know, it was an okay book. I enjoyed it in the moment, and that's that. Next up was a reread for me, my only reread of the month, and that was The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I reread this because I got The Wicked King in the mail, and then I promptly did not read The Wicked King because I found out that it's actually a trilogy, not a duology, and it made me sad because I know there's going to be a cliffhanger and I just didn't want to deal with it. I need to get back to it. Maybe I'll finish that before February's over. But anyway, Cruel Prince, if you haven't heard of it, I'd be surprised because it's been all over the place since it came out last year. Basically, it's about a girl named Jude who watches her parents get killed and then gets kidnapped by their murderer and taken away to Fairyland, where she is then raised for the rest of her childhood adolescence. In Cruel Prince, we find she goes to school with the Fae, and they don't like her because she's human. She particularly has a hate thing going on with the prince, hence the Cruel Prince. Things happen, war starts, and there's drama. It's pretty good drama. I do think I talked about this last year when I first read it because I had never read a book about fairies. I didn't make many videos last year, so it might not be. But anyways, I do enjoy this book. It's really different than what I tend to read. It's just enjoyable. So I do have to get to the Wicked King. Going to get there. I will. Uh-oh, you're about to overheat. Can we do this before you overheat? Next, I read Work Your Wealth by Mary Beth Storjahan. This is, of course, obviously a nonfiction about personal finance, and I really enjoyed this one. I try to read a personal finance book every year to just kind of make sure I'm growing, make sure I'm keeping my money on track and that sort of thing. This one is a really good beginner's guide to personal finance. It just kind of gives you a little overview of what you should be doing with your money. If you're somebody in my position where, like I said, I try to read one of these every year, I feel like I've got a pretty good handle on my finances. It's a good reminder, but it's not going to be anything earth-shattering. However, if you are in your teens, you're a new adult, you're trying to figure out this whole money thing, I think this is a really good place to start to help you figure out how to budget, how to save, why you should be doing these things, what's credit all about, and that kind of thing. Definitely check this one out. It's little, it's easy to go through. My one critique on this, and I hate doing this, I hate that I think this way, but I came to figure out through reading this that it's self-published because there's no actual publisher listed anywhere. The reason I figured it out was just because there's so many editing issues. Like there's just typos and just not good grammar in places and things that really could have been fixed with a good editor, and they just were there, and it sets me back because and I know this isn't everybody's problem, but for me, anytime I come across those, it takes me out of what I'm reading and I'm like, oh, and I mentally have to correct it and then go back into the work that I'm reading. But overall, she does a really good job of helping you figure out how to get your finances in order. So for that, I would absolutely recommend this. Next up, I read Stars Above by Marissa Meyer. This is a short story collection set in the Lunar Chronicles. I gobbled it up. It gives stories on all of our main characters, all of them, different kinds of stories. I loved it. It just gives you more background into what happened before and after the main series happened. So you get to see little Cinder, you get to see Eco before she met the family, you get to see just all these different stories, and at the end, we also get to see a wedding, which is exciting, and I loved it. If you love the Lunar Chronicles, definitely don't forget to read this because it's just so fun and it brings you back into that world, and you just get glimpses of the people before the main series and after the main series, and I just loved it so, so much. And finally, the last book I read for the month of January was an audiobook, and it was My Squirrel Days by Ellie Kemper. I had so much fun when listening to this book. I really like listening to memoirs narrated by the person who wrote it and that it's about, and this one was exceptional. I've listened to some where they're just reading it and they don't actually put their personality into it, but Ellie is so Ellie throughout this entire book, and she's telling these stories, and it's like you're sitting there, you know, having coffee or having lunch, and she's telling you this story, and it was just so fun. I can't say anything bad about it because it's just a fun memoir, and she narrates it so beautifully. It was just really enjoyable. So if you like Ellie Kemper at all, if you've seen her in The Office or Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, definitely check it out, and definitely listen to the audiobook because it's just so fun. So there you have it. Those are my 7 books that I read in the month of January. I had a really good reading month, and I'm really happy I read all the books that I did. My battery's about to overheat, so I'm gonna make this quick, but thank you for watching. I hope you've had a wonderful day. Let me know what books you've read in the month of January and if you would recommend any of them. I would recommend just about all of these. The Lunar Chronicle ones, absolutely. If you haven't read Lunar Chronicles, get to it. I didn't get to it until last year or so, and I'm so glad I finally did. If I had to pick a favorite of the month, ooh. I don't know if I have a favorite. No, I can't pick a favorite. That was a stupid thought. I don't know why I thought I could pick a favorite book of the month. That's just silly. I mean, I suppose if you were making me, it would be the Lunar Chronicles ones, but they were all just such good books. Let me know what books you read in the month of January that I should read because I'm always looking for new books. Actually, I'm going to Barnes & Noble right now because I have a coupon and it's right next to where I'm meeting my friends for dinner, so I don't have a choice. I have to go to Barnes & Noble today. And so once again, thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I